Welcome to Half Read, where the books are optional, but the cocktails are required. Today's episode, Beloved Mule, based off of the book Beloved by Toni Morrison. It's going to be a wild ride, ladies. Not only do we have a lot of very heavy topics to cover today, but we have a very heavy glass full of a delicious mule that Lisa has concocted for us. What's in it, Lisa?
Oh my goodness. We got a little bit of ginger beer, a little bit of vodka, a little bit of lime juice,
yeah.
and muddled raspberries.
Delicious.
Blackberries.
It's our favorite.
Blackberries.
We have voted it our favorite.
Like, I don't know. I'm halfway through it. So
On to the
ingredients
second.
are a little
On to
muddled.
the second.
The ingredients are muddled.
Yes,
No.
and again, don't worry for those who maybe don't
Yes.
want the alcohol. We have the mocktail also included.
Yes.
But for those who do, let me tell you. Delicious.
They can't see my hand raised as high as I can possibly raise that at the moment after the day today. But you guys, again, and thank you to all of our listeners so far. It's been a great journey with you all as we're making our way through season 1 right now. But as a reminder, we are 3 friends. You guys, this is the joy. This is the joy for me to sit here with you guys after a long day, have a great cocktail, and have the opportunity to just kind of sit and think through a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
But
And laugh.
Yeah, laugh even when
That's
it's
the joy.
even when it's heavy, because this one's gonna be a
Yeah.
little heavier.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Memory, trauma, and healing.
Absolutely. You know, and I think about all the time, having just come from a weekend where I had the joy of spending time with my cousin and his fiance. The last time I saw him was 15 years ago
Oh,
at his brother's wedding, my other cousin. And our family has done an abysmal job of staying in touch for whatever reason. Just our parents never stayed in touch. And it was not a priority for them to get together. Geographically, we were separated, but no one really ever made the initiative to get together. And my cousins and I have now made a pact that it is up to us as the Gen Xers
Yes.
in the group to
Yeah.
say, enough of this shit. Like, we're not, the sins of our fathers kind of thing. Like, we have the way and the impetus to kind of forge our own path in this. And let's unite our families. Let's make sure we make the effort to get together. So we had a lot of conversation around, hey, listen, what happened when we were kids? What sort of shaped our perspectives now? Why we're so crappy at staying in touch and how we can be better at it, right?
Yeah.
So for me, this one really hits home, and the timing couldn't be more perfect.
yeah.
No, that's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But it's really all about how our memory shapes our identity, right? And again, we did not read the book. This is what ChatGPT is telling us is in the
Yes.
book. I'm just
Yes.
kidding, but but it's
Not
really
kidding.
not kidding, kidding, not kidding. But the stories that we carry and what makes us who we are, right?
Yep.
And so maybe if you guys will indulge, I'll kind of expound a little bit on the story I started with. So, my family, not very close knit, geographically separated. My dad was the oldest of 4 siblings. His parents got divorced when he was in the Navy, and the family fractured. And there was a divide. Some sided with mom, some sided with dad, and everything just kind of fell apart at the seams. And brothers and sisters didn't talk. And then the way I was raised, it was always just the 5 of us at Christmas. My mom, my dad, and my 2 brothers and myself. We didn't hang out with anybody from our family.
You
We didn't have
like,
family parties.
Family party.
Hell no. Nope. Literally, I did not know that type of thing existed until I was much, much older, and I looked around and I could see what other people had on holidays. Not that ours weren't special.
Yeah.
But, and I'll tell you, like, my cousin, his name's Matt, my cousin and Ryan, right? 2 brothers, my dad's brother, his kids. Like, we were the best of friends when we were kids. We'd see each other at most once a year, and we just clicked. Like, just great relationship, felt like brothers, not cousins. We never got together because our parents didn't get us together. And then life takes over, you just kind of go your own direction, and this was a really big first step in terms of us getting together, meeting each other's kids. What excuse do we have in 15 years that we've not gotten together? Other
That's
than
crazy, yeah.
that's what we knew as kids.
Yeah.
Right,
You
right.
just don't go the extra mile. You don't have that. And but we've, I don't know. Everybody's heard me say I'm almost 50, right? Proudly so. scarily. So.
You're doing it well,
29.
so yeah, exactly.
Oh gosh. But we have the power to change it. And what I have to tell our listeners right now is we just saw Lisa stare down her dog and give him the old, I'm looking at you, buddy. Like, do not come running in this dining room right now.
Because he was eyeing the tree, and the cat's under the tree. So I wanted him to know that I was...
Just
Sorry.
in case everybody
Side
thinks
note.
that we actually edit this or know what we're doing, here's a reminder.
What's happening? You're
Exactly.
in on.
But you guys must have experiences like this in your life, right? That you carry with you that shape you as adults. I mean,
Yeah.
let's get into it. Yeah.
No, I think, I think that's what, right, nature and nurture. I mean, absolutely. I think none of us anywhere could suggest that the things that we have been through don't shape us negatively, positively, neutrally. I don't know. It's going to have some effect. Meg, you were breaking down your experiences, and to break down mine, it's been, I almost don't even know where to start. I think that just as a kid growing up, I will say I was absolutely surrounded by love, and stability. Although at times I had images of, oh wow, sometimes things don't always go the way you hoped they would. And that last part probably coming from the place of when my parents separated and were divorced. Now my parents separated and divorced when I was an adult. I was in medical school. And so some may say, oh, well, I did. And I grew up privileged of having a two-parent home, and my upbringing very different. I was always, surrounded by huge family parties and togetherness and everything that you may hope for as a unit of a village. It takes the village. I definitely grew up seeing that and feeling that. So actually, I must say, when I was an adult and that happened, it had a huge impact.
Yeah.
And I think when it first happened, and I was an adult, but I still kind of felt like a kid in some ways. I hadn't forged out into the world completely. And it was difficult. It was difficult because at times it was a feeling of questioning, was my privileged experience truly what I thought it was? I will say, I look back now and say, absolutely.
Yeah.
It was all part of the journey.
Yeah.
Right? I think sometimes you do begin to question that. Is that, well, if if this is where I ended up, is what I went through, was that real and was that genuine?
Yeah.
I can even say it from my experience because I am divorced, now remarried, but the same thing was, if I'm divorced, was what I had real, and was it? But it was, of course it was. But it's all just part of your story and part of your journey, and absolutely about building who you are.
Yeah.
And you decide, in some ways, are you going to use that and shape you in what way?
Yep.
And how is that going to affect the way you treat others, the way you raise your own kids, the way that you move through the world? So more to say on that, but Lisa, what is your...
I feel like I probably relate a little bit more with you, Leah, on, the upbringing with the family, right? Because I think, you didn't have a lot of family around, Meg, and you didn't. That's the whole cousin thing. We grew up with us cousins. That was our thing, like the
cousin brothers and
The-
cousin sisters. Yes. I
And
have
what's
about
interesting
15.
now is that, at this stage in our life, I feel like it's the cousins who kind of still bond together.
Yeah.
And like every summer we get together and, we plan a camping trip that we've been doing probably for the past, 5 years now. And it is literally all of my cousins doing this and my brother, getting together. And we have, the aunts, you know, and the uncles kind of come in and have joined in, but it's not something that they're doing in order to pull us together. I feel like it's a bit about, it's a testament to the relationships that we built growing up with our families getting together, that we built such a good bond. And we're all over the place within, you know, the United States, you know, Colorado or Rhode Island or Boston and New York and whatnot. But we always seem to kind of try to find some time to get back to, you know, get together and continue those relationships. But I think it's, you know, it's about how we grew up always shapes, you know, who we've become and what we want for our future lives, right? So,
and what we don't want.
Well, that's exactly
right.
Yeah.
And
it's almost like you have that active choice to either become what made you, right, or change the paradigm, and make that active switch. I think we talked a lot about that this weekend, right? Just around, you know what? There was no fault in the stars, so to speak, for what our parents did. They were living their lives. They had busy kids. They were geographically separated, but they didn't prioritize getting together with their family, and things kind of fell apart. And there were grudges that were held and things that happened and things I don't understand as an adult. But at the end of the day, like we've said, at least, I mean, in your example, like you and Jamie and all of your, you know, being with you guys and seeing what you have and what you enjoy, like those are things that make me crave that with my family too. And I have that family, so why wouldn't I prioritize that, right? So to have that and then shape that identity for my kids and show them what it's like to, you know, make sure that they're together with their cousins and doing the things that they need to do as best we possibly can. But it's funny because I find the more that I'm advancing, and there's T-minus 3 months now towards that big old 5-0, but midlife, so to speak. God, that makes me cringe when I say that. But midlife brings some of these old stories back. Like, do you ever wake up at like 3 o'clock in the morning and just have a random memory about something that either pissed you off or like you're still kind of ruminating on years later, and you're like, sometimes that stuff, remembering those little things kind of hurts, or remembering those little things gives you some joy. But more often than not, I find that those memories actually are the ones that I'm regretting. Like little things that just kind of catch up with you. You're like, oh, I did that, didn't I? Or, this happened and maybe I could change that. I don't know. What do you think, Lise?
Well, I have found as well, like a lot more thinking back than I ever have before. I think you grow up, you get to your 20s, and then all of a sudden it's like this, like, you know, skateboard ride of like fun and enjoyment and whatever with, you know, friends and exploring and adventure or whatever. And then you get to that later mid part of life and you start to reflect back, right? And I find myself thinking about a lot of those times of when I was younger and those moments or those or looking for those memories to just kind of connect myself back to how I grew up and how I became who I was, and, you know, why I am who I am, or the way I go about things. You know, you start to kind of dig through, and I find that it happens as I got older. I started to try to, I don't know, not try, but I started to think more about those things. More so than ever.
Do you find that they motivate you or make you feel sad?
You know, I think it can do both, and I think I've experienced it doing both, you know. I was going to say, you know, kind of go on top of what Lisa was saying, in that sometimes I feel like I think about it more when I'm looking at my kids. And thinking of, and watching my kids and saying, oh, I've been there, don't do that, or I've been there, yes, this is the way you should, and it reminds me, and so I think through them I feel the motivation. Because if it's a difficult memory, as much as it's one that could make me sad, it's through their potential and their usefulness and the opportunity for me to guide them that motivates me, right? I can, think of different traumas through my life or watching that of others and think that way.
Yeah.
Think of how sad that that experience might have been, but now having seen that and kind of having a playbook of what those actions can turn into, being able to kind of use my children's potential to say, hey, listen to me. I've seen where this can go. I've seen what this can be. Don't do that. Or and then same thing, even in myself. I've seen where this can go. I've seen what this can be, and I don't want to do that. Or that I've seen the good and want to follow this and that. In talking about all of this, I'm reminded of the great Maya Angelou's wonderful quote. You do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. And I think that is trauma. That can absolutely be birthed from trauma. That you're in the mess of it all, you're just trying to figure it out, and sometimes you just don't know, and so the trauma keeps happening. But the growth comes from, and to build on an episode we had not long ago, it's not about it's not about forgetting about it. It's about growing from it.
Growing.
Remember?
Yep.
Right? It's about growing from it. And so you know it now. You've seen it now. You can do better now.
You can recognize I feel like too, you're okay to recognize it now, whereas I feel like when you're in your, before you're halfway through, right? Like life, you kind of try to forget a lot.
Yep.
Right? The divorce and,
Push
what
it
that did
aside,
to you.
sweep it under
right?
the rug. Exactly.
Yeah. Whereas
Yep.
I feel like now you start to come through it, right? When you're in that midlife kind of moving on, and you're like, you know what? It's okay for me to think about it now because I'm in a better place and I can understand it better, and I'm able to process it better or figure out how to, what to do with it.
Yeah. And not and I know you don't forget what you're about to say, Meg, because I don't want to interrupt you, but just to talk on it, to acknowledge that it is such privilege, though, to have that opportunity. For some reason, I just feel compelled to say that, because I also know that sometimes there's traumas that you don't get that opportunity to know better and then do better. And, I've learned from this. Sometimes, my goodness, you just fall to what's happened. So, and I do feel blessed in my life in what some of the things that I've seen. I've felt more privileged than ever to be able to maybe do things the way I'd hope they could turn out. But acknowledging it's not always the case. You don't always get that. You don't.
To that exact point, I think that's the question. We go through our lives to a large degree coping with what we've lived through and dealing with it in ways that maybe aren't the healthiest. Maybe it's a little too much alcohol. Maybe it's too much exercise. Maybe it's just you put things in a box and set it aside and don't even deal with it. Any
you
number
of
ways of coping. Exactly. And then there's the other side of it, which is giving that burden a name or acknowledgement and then actually trying to heal from it. And what does that look like, right? And I think there was a book I read recently.
You read a book?
Actually,
listen, you're out of the group.
Did you not know what the...
I believe I just said that out loud.
Oh my God.
Hey, listen, it's not one of the books we're talking about, okay? I actually did read this book.
Okay.
I actually did read this book. I'm a fairly well-educated person. However,
it's contrary to our...
in this podcast.
God damn it. I can't believe I said that.
Okay, guys, I just hope you know that. We're not.
We do know how to read.
Yes, I
we just
promise.
choose not to.
I'm trying not to do the snort laugh because that was it was a belly laugh.
That's okay. We needed that. This was getting a little heavy.
It was heavy. It was heavy. Okay. No, I actually did read this book. I did. And it's a book that I actually loved very much by a person who's given me a lot of things to think about. And her name is Mel Robbins, and she wrote a book called Let Them, among other things she does very prolifically. But she wrote a book called Let Them, and it's really about how how you are dealing with the things that really bother you in your life. And like, on other previous episodes, I've talked about the fact that, this year, like through circumstances totally not in my control, my job in an organization I'd been with for 7.5 years was eliminated. I had no control over that. The company was going to do what the company was going to do. Let them. What I control is my response to that trauma. What I control is my response to that. And I started to apply this to other avenues in my life as well, right? Like the whole family issue, ex-husband strain, all of this, because everybody's got a perfect relationship with their ex-husband, right? Or ex-wife or whomever, ex-partner. There's so much that you can apply it to. It's like, okay, what I can control is what I can control. And the narrative that I want is the narrative that I take responsibility for. I can't even look at you right now. Okay, I'm going to paint a verbal picture of what just happened. So Lisa just got up to get the cat out of the room, almost tripped over the cord. And I tried to recover. I tried to hold it. And I thought I did a pretty good job. And then Leia looks right at me, dead in the eyeball, as she's reaching for a chocolate. And
I'm listening so deeply to you, Meg. I promise. But it inspired me to eat
chocolate.
Piece of chocolate.
Because you came straight from work and you haven't had anything to eat all day. And it's 9:30 at night.
My scrubs.
But you guys, this is why I love these ladies.
We are real people.
And we hope that you understand. Hey, we're not professional. I'm not Mel Robbins.
No.
Listen, I just actually read her book. Like, that was the one. I loved her book. But these are the things I think.
Mel Robbins, please come as a guest on our
I know, seriously, please. Mel, please. You would know you'd love to come to Buffalo in the winter.
Yes.
That would be great.
We'll take you to a Bills game.
We'll take you to a Bills game.
Go Bills.
Go Bills. I lost my train of thought. Oh, no. Menopause and half a glass of that delicious mule. No, just kidding. But these are the things. It's like you give too much power to other people. And you just at some point in time need to say, to hell with this, and just take the reins and steer it for yourself. Period. End of story. There was another thing in the book that actually gave me a lot of thinking to do. And it was think about the shittiest thing that you possibly could have to do to deal with something, or even if it's just getting out of bed in the morning when you've had 4 hours of sleep. Leia, I'm looking at you directly, right?
Hello.
Like, think about how much you don't want to do something, and then you do this mental countdown, almost like a launch countdown, like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then no excuses. You just do it. If it's working out, if it's doing a presentation, if it's sending the email to somebody you don't want to send to, if it's calling your parent, if it's calling your brother or your sister, whomever, right? Like the things that we don't want to do in our lives, you just boom, buckle in and just do it. And you don't give yourself an excuse.
In.
Yeah. But that goes back to the whole piece of, what is the difference between coping and healing, and what choices do we make to get to where we are? I don't know. Do you have more thoughts on that, Lise?
No.
Do you want some chocolate too? I mean, maybe a sip of the cocktail.
It was one of the best cocktails I think we've had.
It was so good. It was really good. All right, but here's a different question. So have you ever been just kind of floating through your daily life, and then something from your past just kind of hits you? Like you'll see something, you'll hear something, a word. Somebody looks like your mom, somebody looks like your brother, or whatever.
Gosh.
Like when it just comes out of nowhere and hits you. And what happens?
That. Well, since my father has passed, I've had a lot of that where I'll be places and I'll see maybe an older gentleman, and he used to wear like these brim hats all the time. He has we still have 30 of them. It's amazing. But sometimes I will see him.
Yeah.
And I always do a double take, and I feel like I've texted my brother when this happens usually and be like, oh my God. I'll try to take a picture from a distance and be like, there's Dad.
Yeah.
And it's it's like one of those things that you feel like they're still here with you, right? And it is a little bit of healing to kind of just recognize it and not feel sad by it, but feel a little bit of joy in it. Yeah. That you're kind of reminded of this memory of that's who my dad was. That was that was him. That looks like him kind of walking across the way. And isn't that funny that he's here at this soccer game, you know, that my son is playing in. And so, so that, like, as you said, that just kind of reminded me of, like, I always seem to get these little glimpses of things about my dad. And I don't know if I said this before. Did I tell this story before about the clown nose?
No.
I don't think so.
So when my son was like 4 years old and in daycare, and my dad, he had come to visit, and he went out and bought, like, I don't know, 10 or 15 clown noses. This was like my dad's humor. This is who he was. He was just a funny guy. Like, he loved to, like, be silly with the kids. And he bought all these clown noses, and he came with me to pick up my son at daycare, and he handed out all these clown noses to all the kids. It was hysterical, whatever, you know, we had a couple extra, you know, these clown noses in our house. And when we moved, I don't know where they went. And one day, I think it was maybe a year ago, or within this past year, I remember waking up and coming downstairs, and in our laundry room, in the middle of the floor, is a clown nose. Whoa. And I am like, what the fuck? You know,
Where did this come from?
Where did this come from?
Yeah.
Like, all of a sudden, there was, and, you know, my head goes to, did the cat find it somewhere?
Yeah.
And, like, probably, but where? Because since we've moved, I don't know where they were packed or where they got unpacked to. So they were somewhere, I assume maybe within my son's, like, toys in the bins downstairs. I don't know. It was just one of those things. And
freaky,
freaky, but also like that,
warmth.
like I said, that in the healing of just that memory of remembering him and being like, oh my God, you know, like he's here with us, or you know, whatever it might be. It's just things like that.
It's beautiful and it's warm, right? And I think, thanks for sharing that with us, because trauma is so hard, and loss is hard, and you know, obviously in what I do, you know, and I don't know what it feels a little emotional when you know, think about it, and you know, you've been through many lives, and you've seen many lives come and go, and you remember that's what life is, right? It's life. You're born, and you're immediately reminded at times there will be loss, you know, and but if you remember, and once you go through the time of when it's hard and it's just pure loss, and then you get to kind of capture back those times that, oh gosh, as hard as the loss was, there was so much beauty in the life.
Yep.
I think that's what can take over if you let it, you know. And doing what I do, I have felt so privileged to see that through some of my patients. I will say I've seen loss, and personally, but some of the closest losses I've seen are through my patients or with my patients, and it's felt a privilege, you know, to be able to really feel that with them and see that with them. And you know, some of my patients I've been with for almost 10 years now, and some of my favorite encounters and appointments are, you know, if I'm seeing someone every 6 months or every year, you know, can we another pause in this, because the puppy has had a little gas, but it's okay.
I was like, oh.
But
sorry, guys.
Keep going.
Looking at Lisa, and I'm like, oh my God,
something's happening.
So
We're okay.
They pass gas.
So
but
sorry.
no, don't be sorry. This is where we are.
I was trying not to breathe.
Dog on the right, dog on the left. we things will happen.
I thought somebody threw up.
No,
The cat threw up.
all of a sudden I was like, oh, that's thick.
Right. But no,
Sorry.
no.
You're in the middle of this
I
beautiful thing.
No.
All of a sudden.
And it is. It's all right. This is part of life, right? But no, it's very special to meet with those people who, we had a moment where they have dealt with loss and dealt with trauma. And I love seeing the growth, and I love going through the years with them when, when we talk about their loved one that passed, or we talk about the past experience of that trauma, and just seeing where they are now. And sometimes it's not, pretty, and it wasn't always nice. But there's always a beauty that somehow comes from it. And it's just a real privilege to get to see that, and to see the growth, and where we're realizing that at a point through trauma, the memory of the joys will be overpowered by the loss.
Yeah.
Mag,
I know you had a very big loss with your mother.
Yeah.
I mean,
yes. And Leah, I was going to say, like, you always have such beautiful observations, and what you feel, what you experience, and what you feel, and what you share. I'm always sitting here, like, looking at you like, oh, gosh, she's beautiful, she's smart. At least the same for you. And you guys, this conversation is not easy, right? People who are listening might be like, oh boy, this one, I don't know, man. Yeah, it's pretty heavy. But I think honestly, having the ability to talk about things like that, or hear other people talk about and process out loud, the things that are really weighing on them and weighing heavily. Hopefully it gives somebody out there, even if it's one person listening, the ability to feel like I feel right now, being able to talk about this stuff with you guys. Like, yeah, I lost my mom. I lost my mom 7 years ago in a very traumatic fashion. My boyfriend lost his dad 1 year ago, in an extremely traumatic fashion. And you think about the pain and what we endure, the things we cannot unsee, the things we cannot unfeel, but how you take that and you choose to deal with it, right? Like, my family is, as I alluded to in the kickoff, it's a bit of a fractured family. Nobody really gets together, right? And prioritizes that. And even with, my own brothers, the relationship is not what it could be. And the morning after my mom had passed, my sister-in-law, had come to the breakfast that we were having with my dad to sort of honor my mom and what have you. And there were words that were had and things that were said. And, I knowing the situation, decided to hold my tongue, but I was in such a state, like having just lost her, literally holding her hand the night before. I stood up so quick from the breakfast table at the restaurant that my chair tipped over because my winter coat was on the back of it. And, we lost her in December, and my purse, and everything rattled and flew all across the place and made a huge slam. And I stood up and they all looked at me, and I don't love to be the center of attention like that, right? Like, you put a microphone in my hand and put me in a karaoke room, dude, I'll rock that joint. However, not like that. And not when I was worried about hurting my dad. And I chose not to say anything. In my anger, I just turned around and walked away. I left the chair on the floor. I don't even know who cleaned it up, who picked it up, right? Somebody did while I was in the bathroom. So I went to the bathroom in this little tiny diner in this little tiny town in Vermont. And I walked into a stall and I slammed the door. And I was like, and I just had so much anger. And such a feeling of just desperation, and like I was in a black hole. And this woman walked into the bathroom with her little girl. Couldn't have been more than 3 years old. The little girl goes in the bathroom. They were just like, Mama, blah, 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 like the whole time in the bathroom. And I'm just literally sitting in the stall, not doing anything, but just hiding, right? And this woman says to her daughter, all right, Maggie, come on, my girl.
Oh,
it's
no.
okay. You can do this. Oh. And I was like, what did she just say? Because my mother was the only person in the world who I'd ever heard say Maggie. Like, and she'd call me Maggie, right? And the other thing she would call me was my girl. I was her girl. I love you, my girl. I love you, my girl, whatever. And in that moment, I was like, oh my God, like she's telling me, put your big girl pants on, get back out to the table. It doesn't matter what your sister-in-law said to you. Yeah. Oh, she's my sister. She knows what she said, and it's fine. But those are the moments where I'm like, okay, I will be the bigger person. I can deal with this. I can take this trauma. I can carry this load, right? And it's all about the memories that you carry with you, that you create. And I think we did not have a lot of money when I was a kid. We didn't have any money to go on vacations. First time I was on an airplane was when I was 18 years old, and I was traveling for basketball, to a tournament when I was in college. And we didn't really do a lot. Every other summer, every third summer, we'd go to the Cape and we'd see my dad's family. We would see my cousins, like, was talking about earlier. We didn't have a lot of memories like that. And my oldest son just sent me a text message this morning after the weekend that we just had, going to see my cousin, going to see a football game where the Bills won. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
And essentially, my son was like, Mom, like, he called me. He's like, you're the GOAT, bro. I'm like, I think that's a good thing. I'm pretty sure that's a good thing. Then he goes, Mom, he's like, you create memories and they're amazing. I was like, you know what? That's all I really wanted to do. It's not like we've had this thing where we're like, all right, no big Christmas presents anymore. We do something, like it's a memory. We go on a Christmas cruise. We do a whatever, right? Yeah. It's not about another Xbox or another PlayStation or another whatever. It's about like, how do you make these memories? And when he sent me that note, I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm doing something right. Like all these things that you kind of carry with you, they shape who you are, but you have these active choices that you can change that pattern and you can make these things happen. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Am I crazy?
I think you're spot on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Spot on.
Because I think I'm crazy sometimes.
Hey,
but
we all have a little bit of craziness.
Yeah.
But it's everything that has happened leading up until this moment that has shaped who you are.
Even the traumas.
Good, the bad. Yeah. The trauma, like healing. And everybody heals in their own way. And everybody carries forward, what they want to carry forward and recognize, when they're able to recognize it, and
forgive. Like I make a joke about my sister-in-law, but at the end of the day, like if she were to walk in the room, the first thing I would do would be to give her a hug. And like, it's that example setting for your kids too. It's also like not holding a grudge, just choosing to make those active, choices. That's very redundant, but it's the best I got right now as I'm 2/3 of the way through my cocktail. Yeah.
But I think we all grew up in a different era, and with our parents, it was just different. And I think that we're so engaged right now, a bit more than how our boomer parents were. Yeah. We're like the Xers, totally they were the boomers. And, I think what we try to do is we try to do more for our kids because that's what we wish we had, maybe. And this is kind of us carrying that forward and trying to, like, heal, I guess, ourselves, our younger selves, to what we wanted.
So good, yeah.
That's I don't know. That's how I've always saw it as. This is how I wish my parents were, or the things that I had growing up. And it's listen, different generations for different different folks.
Do you think it has something to do with okay, so our parents were very much boomers, right?
Yeah.
That stoicism, that we
kids
do
are
not
to be
talk
seen,
about
not
this,
heard.
does not compute. It's almost like putting a name to what you're dealing with, and then actively choosing to deal with it. It's like, oh, okay, I'm going to call it this, whatever. I'm calling it. I'm acknowledging it for what it is. Like losing your dad. You're like, yep, it was absolutely terrible. But the fact that you can talk about it and you can process it out loud, it is really, truly, I think, we have a burden of silence at some times in our lives, right? Where we're just like, we feel we can't talk to anybody about that. Nobody's going to understand. I'm the only person who's gone through this. I think that's part of the reason why you guys mean the world to me, is because I can talk about anything with you guys. And you're like, oh, no, I get it. I understand. I think that's what we're trying to hopefully transfer to the folks who are kind enough to join us and listen to us. It's like, we're here, like, talk to us too, like, because we talk to each other in these ways. But it's almost like naming that burden takes a little bit of that heavy weight away.
Yes, it makes it feel better. It makes you not feel so alone.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, agreed.
Exactly. I don't know, but what happens when, and Leia, you said it so beautifully in the beginning, right? You were like, you've been married before, I've been married before, like the learnings that we have now, like what happens when, to what Lisa was saying, some of these old wounds come up and we carry them into where we are now.
Yeah.
Like it's that future forward perspective, right? Like when you're carrying the past into the present.
Yeah. No, I think you want to always, and going back to what you just talked about talking it out and, acknowledging sometimes what you're doing in doing that, right? Because hopefully then that helps you to avoid mistakes in that. Because you do want to be mindful that carrying some of the things that you have experienced in the past is part of your growth and learning. So it's not always bad to do that, I don't think. I think that you want to, you went through it for a reason. But in learning sometimes means that you need to do it differently, right? And if you can acknowledge that past and put some label on it, you can use it with power. And I think just that you can use it rather than it controlling you,
concerning you,
right? I think that it's just so important to say, yes, this is what I went through, or this is what I've been through, and I'm going to use this experience for whatever it's worth and push forward. So I think it can be helpful. I really think it can, and I don't want to put sugar on everything. I mean, sometimes you end up making the same mistake. You do, and sometimes it's not always easy, and at times when you're making that mistake again, you're like, oh, come on, I've seen this, like a little deja vu here, right? And you're like, why? You begin to ask yourself that too, and here's another thing about trauma and grieving, and is to give yourself grace, is to be kind to yourself, and
I have to say
that
I think that
you deserve that.
When you're not ready, like when you're doing it over again, or you're making the same mistakes, right? We all make mistakes over a couple times, and like before. I always feel like it's because you're not ready.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're not ready to really
do it right.
That's really good.
Do it a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it has to be that.
Yeah.
Right? Because otherwise it really is just kind of insanity, right? To do the same thing again and again and expect a different result. What is
insanity?
What is it?
It's almost like the principle of like reincarnation, right? Like you learn through actions, you make mistakes, you come back as whatever. You come back again, you make mistakes, you come back as whatever, right? And I don't mean to equate it like to reincarnation, but in a way, it's that same cyclical sort of learning, right? Where it's like you have these repetitious patterns of, and I do things all the time where I'm like, I know I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to do it anyway because, It takes us a little bit of time sometimes to actually understand the why behind it too. And I think that's growth. It's learning. And like you said, Leia, so beautifully, it is a process of ever evolving aptitude, learning, it's like what you got under your belt. You know what I mean? You
older, wiser,
and we're all
more
different.
Insurance, to quote Kathy Bates in Rotten Green Tomatoes. Yeah,
and we're all different. We grieve different. We love different. We at a different pace, in a different style. And I think why I say give yourself grace is because be careful to look at others and say, why can't I do it that way? Why wasn't sometimes my two boys are from my previous marriage, and we live in a community where, and Meg, you can relate to this, right? It's a two-parent household.
Yep.
The majority of our community, mom and dad are there, and 2.5 kids, and
met in high school,
right?
Yep.
It's that's what it is, and so I've had this talk with my boys. because listen, the goal, and at least for me in getting married, is to be with that person forever.
Yeah.
So I would never suggest that, I'm like, it was okay to get divorced. No, of course that wasn't my plan. Of course that's not what I had wanted. But what I always share with my boys is that, no, I pray that for you, that's what you would do. That being said, this is our story. This is who we are, right? And your dad is there and wonderful to you, and your stepdad is there and wonderful to you, and me and grandma who used to be in the house, right? We are just, it's you're in a cave of love. And yeah, it looks different, but it's no less special. And it's okay, right? So I think it's a matter of being careful to think of right and wrong when you think of your story, and especially because there is going to be traumas, and there are going to be things that you will be given in your life that you're supposed to learn from, and that's supposed to be your path. And so that's what I hope to give my kids, to say that this was my path, but you can learn from that too. You can learn from my trauma and maybe my mistakes and my victories as well. I hope you see those too, and that I get to share that with you as well. So yeah,
it's a different, and I have to go back to it. It's just a different time as well, right? If you think about your parents, and I guess I think about my parents in the sense that my mother, they stayed together for the kids.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like people continue to do that anymore. They, right?
Nope.
Listen, if
Agree.
you're unhappy and you realize that you're not, right for each other, then it is okay to move on. Whereas
People
back
feel
in
like
the
that's
day,
a selfish
not.
thing, though. Sometimes I think we get judged at times, and the proverbial we, right, are judged to say that, oh, well, you couldn't just keep it together. At least to your point, you can just keep it together for the kids. You couldn't just tough it out. It's like, what kind of example relationship do you want for your children? And Leia, you said it perfectly. Do I wish that for you? No. I wish for you to find the love of your life and to be married happily and go off into the sunset. But you know what? This is our story, and we learn from our stories. And at the end of the day, your children have more people that love them. And that's never a bad thing, right? Because you have more wonderful examples, more people looking out for them and there to hold their hand and to keep them up when they need to be, held up. So you guys, I think we could talk about this forever. This has been a great episode, a heavy episode. I feel like we could have a 6-hour.
I think we're
No
going to find
joke.
another book-inspired theme that will maybe continue this
Exactly.
this discussion.
We're gonna have to keep this one going.
I'll keep digging.
But I think to all of you who are following us so far, thank you so much. We are so grateful for the fact that you join us and you sit in our dining rooms with us and chase the dogs with us and eat chocolate with us and drink cocktails with us, or mocktails as it may be, as Lisa's just reaching for another piece of chocolate.
We're done, right? Can I have
We're
this
done.
piece?
Exactly. You can do it. You can do it.
Crinkle it up.
But honestly, just shove the whole
good.
thing in your mouth. Just do it. Don't bite it. Just eat it out.
Listen, we're serious, but we're fun.
Exactly.
Let me tell you.
We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. But anyway, stay tuned. Next time, more to come with Half Red. But again, thank you all for listening to Half Red. We hope you've enjoyed our discussion today. Please join us again for our next book-inspired conversation and cocktail.
Yes.
And remember,
Books are optional.
Cocktails are required.
woohoo!
Half read.